This is NC Spin, an unrehearsed discussion on issues of interest to North Carolinians. Now, here is your moderator, Tom Campbell.
In every generation, there are men and women who make a significant difference to North Carolina. NC Spin created the Carolina Collection to archive the stories and legacies of some of these wonderful Tar Heels. And this week, we're honored to present excerpts from an interview we conducted with one of North Carolina's most colorful and dynamic women, Betty Ray McCain. I'm convinced you'll enjoy and laugh out loud, as did the live audience at the North Carolina Museum of History.
North Carolina has been blessed to have many very significant people over our history who have contributed to who we are and what we are as a state. We created the Carolina Collection because we wanted to be able to archive their stories and their contributions, and we're really pleased to have tonight one of North Carolina's most significant, most delightful, and most outstanding women, Betty Ray McCain. I have known Betty since we moved to Wilson in 1965, and if someone were to ask me to give a series of adjectives to describe her, here's what I would say: charming, witty, intelligent, energetic, relentless, grace-filled, compassionate, and a trailblazer. Betty has made an indelible impression on our state in public service, in politics, and especially in cultural affairs and the arts. Help me welcome Betty Ray McCain. Yeah, let's start at the beginning. You were born in Faison, North Carolina, raised during the Great Depression. You said you lived at the edge of town and knew everybody's business. You said, in fact, your father said he was the best lawyer in a one-lawyer town.
That's right, and he practiced law at the house.
Yes.
So I knew every criminal.
Your father obviously had a fairly delightful sense of humor. Describe him for us.
Well, he was absolutely wonderful. We loved him better than he loved the Lord. And he was absolutely the best company. And he also would always keep, and you cannot do this now, the murder weapon when he got him off the murder charge. And I said, Dad, why do you do that? He says, so they won't do it again. We had a grand time, but we got to know everybody and all their troubles, and we knew him first.
Now, your home must have been very interesting, because you said that during the Great Depression, anybody in Faison who wanted breakfast, your mom cooked breakfast for them.
Mama fixed
How'd that
breakfast.
get started?
Well, she always had lots of grits, and she would fix a vegetable bowl full of grits. And she said butter or sugar. And sometimes they'd say both. And they would sit on the back doorstep and eat a whole vegetable bowl of grits, because I don't know when they had eaten before either. But Mama was a very wonderful person, and she was, straight ticket Democrat too. And so one time somebody said, Miss Mary, would you vote for the devil if he ran on the Democratic ticket? She said, not in the primary.
Your family has a history of being involved in politics. In fact, your great-grandfather was a delegate to the 1789 Constitutional Convention.
And he voted against the Constitution. But he was good at heart, and he voted for the foundation of the university. Then he got shot in a duel. I think they shot him in the back. It was real bad.
Your daddy told you that the first time you voted was probably going to be the most important vote you ever cast. Why was that?
That was because he did a lot of wills and estate work. Well, when you're the only lawyer in one lawyer town, you do a lot of everything. But he did a lot of that. And back then they had a law that you had to dower on the will if you were the widow of someone who died. And the only thing you would get would be 10% after selling all his possessions, everything he had. And so that was terrible in Duplin County.
And the rest would go to the children.
And the rest would go to the children. And the children, if they didn't like Mama, or if she was a second wife, or anything that went wrong, she would be left with nothing. And so he said, that's on the ballot, go vote against the dower bill. And so we did, and we won.
I hope you're enjoying our Carolina Collection interview with Betty Ray McCain. This was a delightful evening, and If you'd like to have your own copy of the full interview, you can visit our website at ncspin.com or call 919-832-1416. DVD copies are just $19.95, which includes shipping and handling. Go to the Carolina Collection section on the ncspin.com website or call us at 919-832-1416. And we'll have more after these messages.
Our farmers are among the most productive in the world, even while lacking a stable and reliable agricultural workforce. But the workforce problems in agriculture have reached a breaking point, and food demand continues to rise. Reforms to the immigration system can ensure that farmers have access to the workers they need. The good news is that we still have time to fix this corrosive problem. Tell your congressional representatives that we need comprehensive immigration reform in 2013.
North Carolina Medical Society is committed to a healthier North Carolina. We feel as an organization representing over 14,000 physicians that we have a responsibility and an obligation to help our citizens become more healthy. And by doing this, we want to help educate them about ways in which they need to keep themselves healthy through good nutrition, exercise, and maintaining a healthy lifestyle. These ingredients will help not only individual citizens become and maintain a healthier outlook on their lives, but also help contribute to having a healthier state.
There's a new day dawning for our state. A fresh crop of leaders are bringing conservative reform. Gone are the days of billion-dollar deficits, and the threat of Obamacare minimized. Now they're working to get our economy on track by holding the line on spending, cutting taxes, passing tax reform that's smart and fair. Let's get back in the game, North Carolina. Encourage our new leaders to keep going.
Let's return to our special interview with Wilson's Betty Ray McCain.
All right, so you graduated from high school a year early. In 1947, you were the valedictorian of your
It's
class.
1948, now don't make it worse than it was.
Went to 2 years at St. Mary's, then transferred to UNC Chapel Hill because then co-eds couldn't go.
That was sometime right after the Civil War, and women couldn't come to it with juniors.
You told one interviewer that the day you graduated from UNC Chapel Hill was one of the saddest days of your life. Why?
You know, I love Chapel Hill better than anything, and I told Mama, I said, I want to go there instead of heaven when I die. She looked at me right straight and said, you got a better chance of getting there, too.
Not satisfied with your degree from UNC Chapel Hill, you went to Columbia University in New York, got a master's degree. What was your goal in wanting a master's degree?
Well, when you're ugly and fat, and you really need to be highly educated. And so, I really enjoyed being in New York a lot. It was absolutely wonderful. It was in the olden days, but Mom was happy tonight, and she said, sister, now let me tell you, I know you speak to everybody on the street wherever you go, but in New York you do not speak to everybody on the street. So I didn't. But I had a wonderful time working in politics there because Eisenhower was running for president, and he was running against Adlai Stevenson. And so the ward healer, the precinct chairman, ran the pizza parlor around the corner from me. And so we'd go and eat pizza and plot, and we carried for Adlai Stevenson. And then we went and sang Christmas carols at the president's house because Eisenhower was the president of Columbia at that time.
Is that right?
Yes. I felt a little bit bad about that.
All right, so after Columbia, you come back to Chapel Hill, did a little bit of work for the university, and became the associate director for the YWCA. It was here that you met your future husband, John McCain. The two of you together really forged a marriage and a partnership of community service. Describe it for us.
He was wonderful fun, and he loved to practice medicine. His daddy was a physician, and his grandfather was a physician, and his great-grandmother rode circuit as a midwife during the Civil War.
John's father ran the TB sanatorium in Polk County, McCain Sanatorium, for many, many years.
And his grandfather did that before him, too.
Wow.
So, well, we said if you didn't have a little bit of TB, you just really weren't anybody.
Betty Ray McCain is an outstanding example of the best of North Carolina, and we hope you're enjoying this interview. We want to thank our special underwriters for this event, Touchstone Energy Cooperatives, Wells Fargo Bank, and Blue Cross Blue Shield. We also thank the North Carolina Democratic Party and the Irregardless Cafe and Catering for the food for this event. We'll have more after these messages.
We all count on our community hospitals, but funding cuts are hurting hospitals' ability to care for our families. Continued government cuts may force hospitals to eliminate vital services like emergency rooms and delivering babies. Some hospitals may even be forced to close their doors. We need healthy hospitals that are financially strong. Please contact your legislator. Help protect your community's hospital and your family.
The cost of everything has gone up dramatically over the last 75 years. With one exception, keeping electricity affordable. That's the power of your co-op membership. Learn more at togetherwesave.com.
North Carolina's Touchstone Energy Cooperatives, looking out for you.
You trust your family physician to care for you and your family. We treasure that trust and are committed to providing the best care possible for all North Carolinians. It's time for Medicaid reform, but not without input from North Carolina's family physicians. Medicaid reform will impact health care for all of us. Tell state leaders you want your physician involved. We need Medicaid reform that's good for North Carolina. To sign our petition of support, visit rnchealthcare.com.
Let's rejoin our Carolina Collection interview with Betty Ray McCain.
Back home in Wilson, the 1960 gubernatorial campaign for Terry Sanford was where you first got introduced to the two people that you later knew quite a bit better, Miss Elsie and James Hunt.
They worked hard, and we carried the county, and you know, he was such a wonderful fellow, and he did so much as the governor.
Fast forward a little bit, you got appointed to what was then known as the Advisory Budget Commission, the ABC. First woman to ever be put on the ABC, one of the few non-elected people to ever serve in this group. How did that help shape your views of North Carolina?
I have been so lucky in my life. I've had several jobs that took you to every county, and so I had been to every county and pretty much almost every precinct by the time I got on the Advisory Budget Commission.
During this period of time, I mean, people the likes of Harold Hardison from Kinston, Billy Watkins from Oxford, Kenneth Royal from Durham. I mean, these were the movers and the shakers in state government, and essentially they just decided what the budget was going to be.
They
and they went
in
and got a rubber stamp. Now, you were in on the inside of all these decisions. What insights did you get about the decision making in North Carolina?
Well, it was wonderful because I've learned many, many things, but two of the funniest things I learned was the prisoners really like canned peaches. We bought more crates of canned peaches from the hills. We tried to buy from North Carolina everything we could. But the other funny thing was we would sit with panels of three of us, and we would decide among the people who were bidding on it, on the various things, what they would get. And the two things we were to decide about were a manure spreader for state and a harpsichord for Carolina. I was the only one who knew what the harpsichord was.
The Congress had passed the Equal Rights Amendment, and they left it up to the states to ratify it before it was added to the Constitution. The House had passed it, but in 1982, Governor Hunt asked you to chair the Equal Rights Amendment Committee in our state. So you had to go to work trying to convince the Senate to concur, and during that experience, you had a very interesting thing happen to you. Tell us about it.
Well, we counted noses. We didn't go to the bathroom with us. That would not have been ladylike. But we did kind of follow them around, and we had some that were, we weren't sure about. And we were critical. If we had passed it, it would have passed nationally. We saw them going into the chapel, and there were two doors in the chapel, and you could go in or out.
It's up on the third floor of the legislature.
It's a real pretty chapel. And so we counted when they went in. and we counted when they went out, and one was missing. So we waited and waited. We thought maybe he was having a little expression with the Lord. I didn't know. And so we waited and waited, and he didn't come out. So finally I went in, and the lights were out. So I turned on the lights, and there he was, hiding from me under a pew. He shall remain nameless. But it was so funny, I couldn't help but laugh.
How would things have been different if the Equal Rights Amendment had been ratified?
Thank goodness we have wonderful lady lawyers. Now they have Westlaw and all these things that you can look by computer and see which laws have to be changed to make them gender neutral. And those ladies, 3 or 4 of them, went through every single thing in North Carolina, and we've pretty much done what it would do. But there's always, and then we were able to fix the divorce laws, and a lot of things that the legislature did help us with that.
Well, you've already alluded to the fact that there are more women involved in our legislature, there are more women in corporate executive positions, public service ranks, certainly than there were when you got started actively in the 60s. What would you say to women today?
Well, they can do anything. They really can do anything. But I tell them, we not only have a glass ceiling, but in the South we have a sticky floor too. And you just,
I hadn't heard that one.
We have a sticky floor, and you just have to get out there and make yourself so absolutely essential that they can't run the campaign without you.
You're seeing excerpts from our special Carolina Collection interview with Betty Ray McCain, with special thanks to the North Carolina Museum of History. Remember, you can obtain your own personal copy of this delightful interview by visiting our website, ncspin.com, or calling 919-832-1416. And we'll have more Betty Ray after these messages.
NC Spin is brought to you in part by the North Carolina Farm Bureau. The Farm Bureau and Agriculture. We keep North Carolina growing.
We all count on our community hospitals, but funding cuts are hurting hospitals' ability to care for our families. Continued government cuts may force hospitals to eliminate vital services like emergency rooms and delivering babies. Some hospitals may even be forced to close their doors. We need healthy hospitals that are financially strong. Please contact your legislator. Help protect your community's hospital and your family.
It's true. Farming is different than it was 50 years ago. We know consumers have questions about how our food is grown today. North Carolina livestock farmers want you to know that they're using the most responsible and caring farming practices to feed our state.
ncanimalag.com. Is your business or trade organization looking for a great North Raleigh address? This beautiful, recently updated office building has 3 spacious offices perfect for law firms, accountants, agencies, and associations of any size. Our beautiful lobby boasts attractive finishes and unique Raleigh artwork. We provide ample parking and quick access to both 440 and 540 right at the corner of Falls of the Neuse and Spring Forest Road. Call us today at 919-832-1416 to schedule a tour with the owner.
Let's go back to our interview with one of North Carolina's most outstanding and delightful women, Betty Ray McCain.
All right, people wanted you to serve on boards and commissions, and you served on some of the most significant ones in North Carolina because you had the reputation that you would do what you said you were going to do. Now, during much of this time, you had a husband at home with a busy medical practice, children. Whenever anybody asked you to serve, you very rarely said no. What motivated you?
Well, you got to do the best you can and leave it better than you found it. That's what my motto is, leave it better than you found it. And I think I have 2 wonderful children and 5 precious grandchildren. They're just like Mary Poppins, practically perfect in every way. They were in college by the time I really wandered off. And Johnny worked 90 hours a week, my husband, and finally somebody said, "What does Dr. McCain think about your working in Raleigh?" I said, "Don't tell him, he doesn't know it yet."
So Jim Hunt comes back in 1992 and runs for governor again and asks you to be as Secretary of Cultural Resources. And a lot of us think that it was in this role that you really became the face of the arts for our state of North Carolina.
This state is just a treasure trove. We have artists, we have singers, we have glass blowers, we have writers, we have everything here. And they just need a little bit of help with finances. And when I was working with these great folks here, we had wonderful help from the General Assembly. Wonderful help.
One of the legislators told me that when you walked in the building, they said, "Oh hell, what does she want now?"
We did have a good time.
All right, as Secretary of Cultural Resources, you got additional land for the Museum of Art. You built this magnificent
and I want to
museum.
thank Duplin County again because Charles Albertson did that for us.
All right, you got money to raise the Queen Anne's Revenge. Looking back over those 8 years, what do you think was the most significant achievement during that period when you were Secretary?
I think one of the greatest things was the wonderful way that the General Assembly cooperated with us. We were 0.1% of the state budget. We were not much of the state budget. But my goal in life is to make people who live in North Carolina as proud of being a North Carolinian as the Virginians are. Now, if you were born in Virginia, you tell everybody about it. But within 5 minutes, I've done a study. They'll tell, I'm from Virginia. And I want everybody in North Carolina to know that we are just as wonderful as they are in any other state in the nation.
In your lifetime, you've worked with presidents and known presidents fairly well, governors, educators, cultural leaders, business people in the state and the nation. Can I ask you to tell us, and put you on the spot, who were the politicians or the leaders that you admired most?
Well, Jim Hunt and Terry Sanford. And there's some wonderful women through the years that were women legislators. You know, they helped us as much as they could with equal rights. I always tell the story about the two old hound dogs that were outside of Dorton Arena when the antis were meeting. They were really just cussing and carrying on. One dog looked at the other and said, "What's going on in there?" The other dog said, "I don't know. We acted like that, they'd worm us."
All right, I got Jim Hunt, I got Terry Sanford, who else?
And we'd always call Bill Friday, and he would never run, but he would always help you to think about what was the right thing to do. And he is very sorely missed.
You've got a perspective of North Carolina, Chairman of the Democratic Party, Advisory Budget Commission, Secretary of Cultural Resources. You've got an overview and a perspective of this state probably that is unique and different from anybody else in the state. Where do you think our state is today? What are your dreams for our future, and what are your concerns about North Carolina?
Well, North Carolina is a wonderful place, and it's going to take some funding, though, to keep things going, particularly in public education. That is absolutely critical, from K through 12, and then from the university system. And the university system is the best in the nation. People come from all around the world to see how we set it up. And our community colleges are wonderful. So I think education is the key. And then continuing to work as hard as we can on the economy. And it is turning around. And then we've got to work on the drug problem. That is a really bad problem for us, particularly because we're on major highways, 3 ways. And so a lot of drugs come into our county.
What's the message you would like to send to the people of North Carolina?
We would never have been able to bring up the Queen Anne's Revenge if it hadn't been for cooperation. So I hope we will continue, all of us continue to work together. The last campaign was not a civil campaign. We need to have civil campaigns from then on, because all of us, we are the government. We are the democracy. And so what I hope we can do is work together and keep on doing the wonderful things that they are all in their own lives doing.
Betty, when we look at people that have made a difference, have made a significant contribution to our state, you're an inspiration and a role model, like Terry Sanford once said. You care so deeply about our state and our people. You are equally comfortable and gracious with princes and paupers. And I just have to say, your self-effacing humor, your humility, really belie your greatness. You are a great person and truly worthy of being part of our Carolina collection and any collection of great Tar Heels in this state. In behalf of all of your friends and all of the people in North Carolina gathered here, I thank you for sharing your stories.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching this special Carolina Collection edition of NC Spin featuring Betty Ray McCain. We again want to thank the underwriting help of Touchstone Energy Cooperatives, Wells Fargo Bank, Blue Cross Blue Shield, the North Carolina Democratic Party, and the Irregardless Cafe. Don't forget to get your own copy of the full interview by visiting ncspin.com or by calling 919-832-1416. Next week, we return to our regular format discussing issues of importance to our state. Until then, as we always say, stay informed and watch out for the spin.
Join us next week and get the spin on issues facing our state.